So Psych Solution, let's talk about Psych Solution.
Well, Psych Solutions is really a business that I set up to complement everything else that I do. It brings all my skills together into one business, and that's my skill set in mental health, and the work I do around domestic violence, and the work I do mentoring people, coaching people. So Psych Solutions, really events, hosting, and all of that, it just was really a way of bringing all that I do into a business.
I will tell you a story. The first time I saw Psych Solution on Facebook, I thought you were psychic.
Yeah, somebody said that to me the other day.
I thought you were psychic. It's like, this is new. Sharon.
Sharon being a psychic.
Yes, Sharon is a psychic. And I was listening to your video about forgiveness, and you made mention of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. So I was like, how does the two of them correlate with each other? Yeah. So let me write, a question to ask Sharon, the correlation between the two in regards to you. And I said, let me go to your website and know exactly what I'm going to ask you, because I don't want to sound like, stupid. So I went to your website. I look at it and it's like, it's not what I was thinking. It's you offering support to mental health patients. I think people with depression, anxiety, and all that. Tell us more about that.
I think psyched, when you say something, when you're psyched, means you're excited. You are psyched. I'm psyched. It's a word that sometimes
it's the word.
It's the word that
psyched.
Yeah,
straight away you think.
Some people think psychic. Other people already think psychology. Of course, it's based on my background in psychology, and the fact that when you're psyched, it means that you are able to do. You're getting yourself to a space to do something. So I work in mental health. I work in an area called transcultural mental health, which is about supporting people who have mental health issues from migrants and refugee background. I'm passionate about helping people know, what it is that they're going through. Mental illness is something that happens in a lot of people, and a lot of people don't talk about it. In this country, 20% of people in 1 year will be diagnosed with mental illness. In other cultures, we don't even have a word for mental illness. Exactly. And we just see people as being crazy. Something is happening. Maybe they need to go and talk to the gods. Maybe they need to go and do other things. We don't.
Everything is related to spirit.
Everything is related to spirit.
World,
So you find that people then don't seek help when the issue happens. By the time they go and seek help, it's already so late and so advanced that they end up staying longer in the hospital. They are so unwell. And even that stigma that they were afraid of becomes even more, because sometimes, you find an ambulance has to be called, the police will be called. It becomes a big fuss about a person just to go and get the help. So it is really important to create awareness. That's why I do mental health first aid, so that people can know the early signs of mental health issues, be able to know how to support a person. It's about breaking that stigma and changing perceptions, and it's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I really want people to be able to know what mental health issues are.
Do you get African patients, like Africans?
Yeah,
mental health patients?
There are people
Are they
that
compliant at all? Are they compliant? Because sometimes you talk to them about mental health, and what you hear from them is, where we come from. We come from a very tough situation, and because of that, we are immune to mental health problem. But it's not always the case. You will be surprised. Some people living in the community with mental health, problem, but because they have the slightest idea what mental health can do to you, they don't actually seek help.
No. Whenever I do mental health first aid, because I'm from an African background, there's been a lot of people from African background who has been part of my training. I remember going to Tumba, doing mental health first aid training in Tumba for the African community, and I had over 30 people booked. It's a 2-day training, 12 hours, and it was fully booked. So the community here are becoming aware of the issues because they see now that people are having some issues in their own communities. They want to be able to help. So learning on how to do and help people and where to go, it's empowering to people. They are coming forth. Of course, I know the statistics in the mental health, that a lot of people who are coming in, especially from African background, are people who are accessing mental health services involuntary, so under the Mental Health Act, which means that, as I mentioned, people are coming into contact with mental health services very, very late. We must change that because mental illness is like any other illness. And I'm very passionate about talking about that to the community so that people are able to access the help. And then also support the services to be able to know how to work with people from these backgrounds in order to support them. I mean, if somebody doesn't think that mental health issue is an issue, they would obviously not be wanting to take medication or not be wanting to be compliant, as you say, to what is being recommended as treatment because they don't believe in it. So you have to be able, as much as you educate people as African communities, you also have to educate the services that this is how these communities view mental illness. And those are the things that I do. So,
okay. So, Sharon, what are you giving back to the Australian community? I know you were doing something back home for orphanage center.
Yeah.
So you have Kalahari Designs, and now you have Psych Solution as well. So what are you giving back to the Australian community?
I think it's everything that I do here with Kalahari Designs, bridging the gap, bridging the community, the cultural differences, and being able to introduce and talk about my culture and being able to do. I mean, my Psych Solution is not only for African communities. I get in my trainings. I get people from everywhere. Being able to talk about these issues. I sit in a board for domestic violence. Domestic violence issues are huge in this country.
Next topic here.
And being able to talk about that and stand against all of that. That is giving back to the community. Sometimes I don't get paid to do the things that I do, but because I'm passionate about changing perceptions and dealing with the issues that impact on the community, I don't see the Australian community as the community that's out there and I'm here. I am part of that community. So the work that I do with the African community or the work that I do with other communities is impacting in the whole of Australia, because that is who we are.
So you're an advocator, right? So what do you do as an advocator? What do you advocate for?
As I mentioned, through my business, Kalahari Designs, and all the voluntary roles that I do, I advocate obviously social justice, equality. I like to see people being able to remove obstacles on the way in getting people to be able to do the things that they want to do and contribute fully.
Let's talk about domestic violence.
So it's domestic violence issues, mental health, unemployment, racism. I always say racism stops with me. So as an advocate, it's not necessarily one particular thing. Anything that impacts on people's full participation in the community is often something that I stand up.
Yeah, I saw this on Facebook. Every week, 2 women die from domestic violence in Australia.
It's so sad, isn't it?
That is very, 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 very sad.
There is terror in our homes. There is terror in our communities. Domestic violence is terrible. And because a lot of people do not, it happens, I mean, the statistics, 2 women die of domestic violence every week or more in Australia. But how many of the women who do not die are left with broken bones and end up in the mental health hospital, and the children torn apart from their parents and family breakdowns? I mean, it's an impact on the fabric of our community by impacting on family, by impacting on relationship. That is why the Queensland government has really worked so hard to put together the strategies that they're implementing right now to address this issue. The first government in the whole country that has a minister responsible for prevention of domestic violence. So that is how incredible, and I'm glad that the government here is taking a very serious approach to this. But as community leaders, as you and I, as an average person out there, we all must be able to say, it is not okay. And we all must be able to support people going through it. And saying to people, you don't have to accept it. If it happens, you need to be able to tell someone. And if we see it happening as well, we must be able to stand up and say no. And encourage the good men in our community to stand up against it.
But Sharon, do you know in some cultures it's sort of the norm?
I know.
It's something that happened and it's nothing.
Acceptable.
It's acceptable.
Yeah, I know that.
So what are you going to, how are you, just advise people like that?
Be able to check. It is not okay. That's why we must stand up and tell communities and people who think that it's okay. It is not okay. Do you think that that woman being beaten up and having, broken bones and a black eye, that she just thinks that's fine? No, she's hurting. She knows it should not happen. Whereas the culture might be saying, this is okay, your husband must discipline you if you did not put food on the table. She knows that is not right. The children will try to come to her and comfort her because the children knows it's not okay. So we must be able to empower that woman to say, no, it's not okay. You cannot treat me like this.
Like that, yeah.
It is not a normal human behavior, regardless of culture. We should not, somebody you love, to hurt that person is not a normal behavior at all. So it is about educating people to realize that those things that they think works don't actually work, and it's not right. And in this country, we take it very seriously. You can go to jail for doing what you're doing. We will take the children away from you. As the children, you cannot put the children in that situation. So you find that the Department of Child Protection might come in and take the children. Is that what you want? No. So change your behavior and stop, and we will support you. There are programs that are out there to support people to do that.
There are some people who are very scared to even talk about it.
Of course.
Right? So can people trust you and come to you and tell you their problems? Because
I've been such a loud advocate around this issue, and you see on Facebook I talk about it, and when I go to events and I get asked to speak, I talk about it. So I'm always talking about these issues. So people have some sort of trust on me, and they would come to me. I get calls when somebody has been, when the person finds the courage to pick up that phone call, and they would know Sharon might know somebody I can talk to, and then they would call me. So I do get calls from people when they do get that courage to call me. But I'm not saying everybody should be able to call me. The first thing is call 000, get the police there, the police will support you. But sometimes people want to talk to somebody, and it's been very unfortunate. But I do get calls, even, as the last call I got around domestic violence was last week. So it happens.
I always think it is good to prevent domestic violence. Yes. So what are some of the signs that a man is going to be aggressive towards you?
I mean, you would often know the control factor is very big. You find the person starting not wanting you to, trying to control the finances, for example, trying to control where you're going, who you're with, preventing you to, and just really mistreating you, not treating you like with respect you deserve, as a wife, as a partner, as a friend. And you start to the person can be very verbally aggressive towards you, belittling you. Any behavior that does not mount to respect is a behavior that you should not be tolerating. Domestic violence, often when it comes to physical violence, is often when there has been many of these signs: the controlling behaviors, the disrespect, and all of these behaviors would have occurred before the person even lays their hand on you.
I'm talking about at the time when the man is going to hit you.
Or, you mean right at that time?
What are some of the signs? You know, you look at their pace and you look at the way they are standing.
Aggression. I mean, aggression is aggression, regardless whether it's in the home or it's in the street. Aggression, and the person often raises their voice. The person often comes to you in a very threatening manner. Often even the person might even say to you that I will hit you. And they mean it. You know they mean it, because you can see that they're agitated. You can see that, you know, their feelings and you know, they're in a high. Adrenaline is running. You know?
What do you do?
So, I mean,
if it happens like that, what do you do?
You can try to remove yourself from the situation if you're able to remove yourself from the situation. If you're able to have if you have access to the phone, call 000. But you see, the women in domestic violence situations sometimes don't even do that, because they're afraid of this person. They live with this person. They're afraid to even touch the phone. Or maybe even he's locked this phone. This person doesn't even have access to that phone. So if they run away, she'll be thinking, he catches me, he's going to kill me. So I can't tell them, run away from this situation. I can't tell them that grab the phone. If there is an opportunity for you to do that, get to the nearest person, neighbor, and seek help. If there is opportunity to call the police, do that. If your safety comes first, so every situation will be different.
You know, this is the problem among Africans. We don't want people to know that we have problems in our marriages. Yeah. And you don't want the police to come and arrest your husband. Yeah. You know, you are going to lose your husband. Or so we don't really talk about it much. What can you tell
people? As I say, it is not okay. Domestic violence is not okay. So get some help. There will be people who can help you. You don't have to tell another African person if you don't want to tell another African person or another person from your own community. But there are services out there that will be able to maintain confidentiality and support you. Get you a temporary home. You're afraid to lose your husband. Is it better to be in a situation where you might get killed, or is it better for you to be somewhere safe? And sometimes it takes a long time for a woman to come into that realization. It doesn't happen very quickly. Some women have been in domestic violence situations for over 10 years. But one day, they know enough is enough, and they walk away. But the more we have people talking about their experiences, the more it becomes easier for people to see that it is possible to move on after domestic violence. That is why I'm very passionate about getting women from the African background to talk about their stories, the women who have moved on from those abusive relationships, to tell their stories, how they've done that. There are amazing women. There's another woman called Barbara. I can't remember her last name. She just got married recently. She's an advocate against domestic violence. She left. She's told her story. She tells people her story. She was Barbara Harrington was her last name, but she got married and changed her last name recently, and left with 5 children. In a very abusive relationship, and she's done so well for herself. She started an organization called Moving Women Forward, so she can be able to use her experiences to support other women who have been in domestic violence situations. So we want more women like Barbara to be able to be out there. More women. I talk about my story when I was a 10-year-old living in a home where my auntie was being abused, and having the feelings of seeing somebody you care about being beaten, to being blackmailed, not knowing whether they will survive, not knowing whether when you come back. She gives me her son so I can move away with their son.
Sharon, so with you being so outspoken, do you sometimes get into trouble with people?
Of course.
How do you deal with it?
Of course. Sometimes I do say things and think, perhaps I shouldn't have said that. But you know what? I probably always find my way out of situations. If I'm wrong, I apologize. And I'm one of those people who are never ashamed to apologize and admit that I might have done something to cause, unintentionally, either to cause, hurt or something, and to move on. You apologize, and life becomes good again. So, yeah, that's how I handle it. But I'm also stubborn. I'm a Taurian. I was born in May, so the bull. So I sometimes like to get my way a lot and push a lot, and that gets me in trouble, especially at home.
You must have a very strong support system to take up all these roles and activities.
I do. I mean, to be honest, my husband, if sometimes I think if I didn't have him, how would I have managed a little child and do the things that I do? It's the things about dropping him to school and picking him up and even taking him to the park and all of these things that he had to do. And in our household, he's also, he loves cooking, so he's the one who cooks at home. If I didn't have him and I had to cook for myself and cook for my child and go to the shopping supermarket, I could go for weeks without seeing the door of the supermarket. And that obviously then makes it easier for me to do other things that I'm able to do.
Oh, he sounds like a very good man.
It takes a lot of time and money. So, and for me to avoid all of that, and I'm able to do that. So yes, the support I have from family, from home, and also my friends. When I'm out there needing to do things, I have friends who would always, Rodika is a good friend of mine, and Paul Kahi, and he's a good friend of mine. And Rodika and Paul are always there everywhere to support me. And it could be lifting things up and setting things up and running up and picking things up for me. They would do it all for me, and I'm blessed to have friends who could do that and enable me to do that. So between them and my family, I feel like I'm a superwoman, but I wouldn't have been able to do all that without that support.
Oh, Sharon, thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thank you.
You are an inspiration to a lot of people. I would like you to take this opportunity and advise our viewers. Just give them some advice.
I would say, to everybody, I do so much, and those who follow me on Facebook and Twitter and other social media platforms would see that I put so much out there with things that I do, and sometimes wonder, how does she do it, and how I want to be like her. I want to do things that I love, and I would like to say to people, first of all, you need to know that you're worthy of whatever it is that you want to do. you are worthy. If I didn't believe that I'm worthy of the things that I do, I wouldn't do them so well. You have to love what you do. Don't compare yourself with other people. Don't do something because Sharon is doing it. Do it because you love to do it. You have passion. Let it be part of who you are. My work, my voluntary roles, every single thing, my businesses, are all the things that I'm very passionate about. You can't take them separate from who I am. That's the key. You got to be whatever it is that you want and embody that and live it every day. And I'll encourage viewers to live their lives fully and do what they love, because as we all say, it sounds like a cliche, but life is too short. Be a good person above all. So thank you so much. And it's been an incredible opportunity to reflect on so many things that I do, and you've allowed that space for me to do that. So I thank you for being part of this show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, I call this lady the woman of substance. So the next activity, are you ready for the next activity? Which is the hot seat question.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. So this is your question. Africans are lazy fools. Only good at eating, love making, and stealing.
Oh my goodness.
Donald Trump. If you are to describe this man in just one word, what would that be and why?
A fool. A fool, because it's, I mean, who says that? Who says that about others? Clearly somebody who does not actually have any credibility. I mean, owning a fool. A fool is not necessarily who how you're born. It's you choose to be, because you are ignorant, and you choose to be like that. So I would describe Donald Trump as an absolute fool.
This is just by the way. So the humor question, that's the last one, the humor question. Do you like going to the Gold Coast? Do you like Gold Coast?
Yes.
Okay.
I lived on the Gold Coast.
So you like Gold Coast?
Yes.
All right, so what I would like you to do is to say Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast repeatedly in a fast pace 20 times in 10 seconds.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast. Actually, Gold Coast used to be Ghana. It was called Gold
I know.
Coast. Yeah. No,
I know.
And I failed.
You have 3 chances. Now you have 2.
Okay. Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast. No. Okay, try again.
Try again. Last one.
Last one. Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast, Gold Coast. No, fail. Sorry.
Oh, thank you very much, Sharon, for coming to the show. Your participation means a lot to me, and I believe same for audience and viewers, and also the whole Australian society. You are an inspiration to many, and we would like to see you again.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our sponsors today. So ADONAI Virgin Hair, they are our sponsors. They sell all types, colors and styles. They have Indian, they have all types of hair. So if you want to buy some hair from these people, they are on Facebook as ADONAI Fashion Collections, or you can call them on 0406913212. And also Tuntifadi Designs. The dress that I've got on is from Tuntifadi Designs. As you can see, it's a very beautiful dress. They are the best African clothing designs in Queensland, and they won this year's Business Award in Queensland. So please follow them on Instagram and like them on Facebook. BOTCHWAY ELLIS Migration Consultancy provide migration consulting services to people throughout the world. If you want to migrate to Australia, or if you want any of your relatives to come to Australia, please contact BOTCHWAY ELLIS Migration Consultant. They will assist and advise you on the best application option. Please follow them at www.botchwayeellis.com. www.advocator.com.au. Thank you for having the time to stick around for the show, and we will see you again next time. My name is Nanekwia. Bye.